Okay, so the things we talked about this morning, which we kicked off with really, which was about that sense of knowing, that inner tuition. Let's have a look at this and how we can start to develop this. Now, of course, we are looking at that software here, so if you haven't got that software, that's okay. You can still follow along, and I'm pretty sure that you can work out something for yourself that will be pretty good and beneficial. Okay, so getting in tune with the market. The problem is when you first put on a chart, you literally look at this. This is what we have. I mean, I've just chosen a 15-minute chart here. It doesn't matter really what we're looking at in this context, but we just see this and we immediately say, okay, there's a bit of an uptrend through there, and we might want to go in through here and have a look. Okay, but overall it's a little bit down. Okay, but it's quite difficult to get connected to the market, to connect it to what is actually going on, and also, of course, more importantly, what is going to be happening later on. You know, what's going to happen from now. Now, one of the things that we have in PAT is something called a mind market sync. If you can see up here, when I'm highlighting on this button up here, this reviews the last few hours. And let's just see how this works. Run this through. Okay, so what we do is we click it up first, click on there. That appears. That would appear on your screen, not shooting off like mine, because I'm recording a section of the screen. And we've got some choices here. We can choose any currency pair that we want to put in to run this on. And we can use pretty much any charts we want. So in this case, I'll leave it at the default setting at 15. And I'm going to leave it as the default of 24 hours back. Okay. And here I'm going to use the mind market sync speed. And this is at 10 seconds. So if you look at this, if you look at that little tooltip that pops up, so 10 is about 90% of 90 times, normal speed. But I'm going to speed this up for the sake of the video. And we're going to put, let's just try it and see at 100 and see what comes up. Let's get rid of that on the 100. And here we're not going to be using, we can actually use this to trade through and trigger this up and set this up, but this is not the purpose of this, what we're going to do here. So I'm just going to click on start. Okay, and you can see I can then pause this from here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the window, and we're going to bring that back up into there so you can see everything that's going on. Now what you can see, what's actually going on here is that we're actually replaying the market. We're replaying it much faster than it normally obviously than a live market. Okay, now I think that we really want to speed that up, so I'm going to open that up and I'm going to speed that up even more. So I'm going to keep on clicking on this, and that will just increase it, increase and increase. Oops, I went too fast there. And then click on resume. That's better. Now we can click on it when it was open. I must have shut that down. Okay, now we're getting a much better. Hang on, let's now hide this window. Now what you're doing here is you can see we are literally replaying this at a rapid rate of what actually occurred in the market. You can really start to get a feel of what the market is doing and how it's reacting. So you see that downward strike there. What's that all about? And it enables you to see at a glance what happened as a result of it coming out of that area. And how did the market react coming out there? Now clearly we can see that that was a stop take, wasn't it? And we saw how that come out, and we saw the jump up through here. So clearly we've got strength in this market playing out. And that's a useful indicator for us to have going forward. We know at this point through here, all the way through here, we know this was definitely strength in the market. So you just keep watching. What you'll find is that over time you'll become tuned in. So when the market gets to up to the live edge, you will sort of have this close background. Now what I mean by that is, of course, if you were watching the market in real time, and by the time you got along to here, you'd sort of, you're dragging all this information here, but by speeding everything up, you've got a very close map of what's going on. You've got a close, as I say a map, you've got a very how can I word that for you? You've got something that you can draw on very close, very relative to what's going on now, even though it was a long time ago. Because in this term, in this aspect of looking at it like this, of course, it's not a long time ago. We've only been running it a few minutes. And what's going to be interesting here is when we get to the end, and then we can quickly draw all the analysis from that last 24 hours. We can draw it and apply it to the live edge, to the sharp edge, as I call it, the coal face, as it were. And you can certainly see the difference here as this market's coming down, as opposed to how the market went up. A definite difference after the stock take and how it went up with energy in the market, and now that's sort of petering out. It hasn't got that life force in it now, has it, at the moment? But we've still got that residual bit of strength in there. Remember how this come out. You can see how closely we're connected. We can still think about that because of what come out of here. So are we going to expect a continuation of this through here? And you'll see in a minute how that I make a lot of my predictions on the next day based on running these simulations. They're not even simulations, they're mind market syncs, how I sort of get tuned in to the last 24 hours, what's been going on, because the last 24 hours is going to be highly reflective of the next 24 hours. So you can see the market, okay, it's gone into that accumulation period. Now what's going to happen coming out of here? We've got this big jump up through here. Hopefully when I shut up and stop talking, you can feel yourself becoming drawn into this. Okay, so it's now switching to live charts. So that's what it says. As soon as it gets there, it switches to live charts. Okay, and then you're on the live chart. Let's just pull that up so we can see that. Keep that in the video. Okay, so on the live chart, oops, we got that on 60 minutes. We didn't want that, did we? Let's pull that back up on there. And for some reason, we've got that one as well. Let's go back to our euro. Let's minimize that. Okay, so there we are. Back at our live charts. Probably because I'm recording the screen, so it's jumping around a little bit in terms of what it's doing. Okay, so what can we draw from that? Well, to me, that's enabled me to sink in, to get an understanding of what this market's likely to do based on this. And I was able to do it because I was able to have all this information sort of thrust on me, if you like, away. It's like opening a page of a book and reading a chapter, sorry, reading a paragraph and getting a good insight into what's going to happen in the next paragraph. And so that strength that played out, that stop take through there, that strength coming through there, and then this sort of weakening as it sort of came off down here, indicates to me that this market is highly likely to, I'd be interested in looking at a long move out of that. Now that's against sort of this overall down through here, but I certainly would be keen to look at that. If in other words, what I'd be looking for now is I'd say, okay, well, if I want this market, if I anticipate this market is going to go up and I'm 51% inclined that it might go up from here, what am I going to be looking for to validate that and to get an entry? At this point, I want to go back to the basics of what we do. I'm going to just watch the market in the live mode that it's in now, just watching up through here, got all my historic through here, looking at a little bit of strength. I want to see something that is going to validate that. So what I want to see is the market sort of maybe go up a little bit, or it may come down. I want to throw in a false flag to the downside. If I can detect a false flag to the downside, I'm going to be pretty sure that this that I saw down here is going to play out and that up move is going to continue on. So I'm just going to put another thing on here now because I want to map this out as well in terms of where this, here we go, people say about the 90 pips, so we go 90, there you go, low to there, high to there, there's your target. Not bad. Okay, so actually just as a matter of interest, let's just pop this on and see if we've got a retrace coming out of there. There we go. So we've got our stop take, okay. So we've got our manipulation, we've got our accumulation through here, we've got our stop take on there, the market goes up, gets into the uptrend, We're looking for the retrace. There it comes, down as a retrace. Here's our buy at our 15 pips. Somebody said to me the other day, actually yesterday, they complained and said I don't have exacting entries. Well, of course I don't have exacting entries, and I'm going to say exactly what you've got to enter on this bar. And of course there's our retrace to exactly there, and the market goes up, and there's our exit running through there. So there's a very nice 45 pips out of there, pretty much like clockwork out of there. Can't leave them a baby, that one. And that's what we're looking for as pat traders. That is what we're looking for, that information running through there. Okay, so that is how the Mind Market Sync works, and you can run this on any chart you like. So if we were to just call up our 60 minute, let's just call that up and open this up, and then we're on the 60 minute GBP USD, and if we wanted to go Mind Market Sync on there, we would uncheck that and check our hour, and there we go, 24 hours again. I'm going to put 300 in there. I'm going to start that, and like I say, this is doing this probably because I am recording the screen, so I'm just going to drag this out of the way, minimize that, pull up our other chart in here, which is what we're looking at, and then I can pull this over just so you can see this here, and then I'm going to click on faster. There we go, and then we're away, and then I'm going to just hide that window out the way, and then you're into the 60 minute, as you can see. What I do with the 60 minute personally, I'd be running that over a longer period than 24 hours, because you're only going to get 24 bars. I'd be definitely running that over a longer period of time. And you can still do your still put your markers on just the same. Okay, did you see that come down and through there? So you saw the stock take, and you can see how this plays out in real time. This is exactly what happened. So you're enabled to really map out the market maker's business model and really get some understanding of what's going on, and you can build this up as a library in your mind. And of course, as you build this up like a library, what happens? This becomes intuitive. This is inner tuition. You're training your inner mind. And people say about, sense of knowing, it's a spurious claim, it's nothing concrete. I would argue strongly against that. It's inner tuition, intuition, inner tuition. We have learned something inwards over a period of time, and then when we see something happen, it triggers something in us and says, and it gives us that sense of knowing. Aha, okay, I can see what's going on here. So there's nothing spurious about that. There's nothing bizarre about that. It is what actually happens and how you learn. So rather than learning about a pattern, which is I constantly say, you mustn't be training your brain on patterns. You've got to be looking at why things occur and the content. So if we look through here, and we just saw what happened just through here, and then we were able to just snap on that line, and we say, okay, and then we see the market jump up and go up, and that gives us the confidence to then say, okay, well that was a 60 minute, so we go back then to the 15 minute, and then we look at what happens on in there. Now, something actually, I'll see if I can just get this up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over here, and I'm going to open up the Euro 15 minutes, and we're going to drag that one over here. Now, that's pretty cool. Not even I knew that. I actually I knew it, but I'd forgotten that was how that will actually do the two together. So you can actually sync up over the 60 minutes and that together. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so there's our line coming through on our 60 minutes through here, and then we can see what came out of there. And look, we saw that jumping up through there. Now I'm just going to try one other thing here, which might be a pretty cool thing if this actually works. There we go, and you can actually do that by clicking on this button here. Now that I wasn't aware that you could actually do that running on the simulator, but you can position the cursor at the same time. So if you're looking at the 60-minute chart and you want to check out this bar here, if you look what occurs in the 15-minute chart, you can see how the cursor will show you where that is. Now if you click on here as well and activate that, then it will show back in the 60-minute where that was. Now of course it's jumping around a bit here because we're doing that, but we could pause that, and then let me just call that up. Let's just pause that. Oh, it has paused it, okay. And then yes, you can pause it for a moment, and you can scroll back. Let's just hide that window, and then you can scroll back and have a look. Oh, it started again, but okay, so I'm sure you get the idea. You can look at these two markets here and you start to map out what's going on. Of course, when you see something like this here, and we will pause that for a second so I can just show that. Actually, it says it's resumed. Stop the simulation. Okay, well, I'm going to stop the simulation now anyway, so we can... do you want to stop the simulation? Yes, I do. End of simulation period reached. Okay, and we'll get rid of that. Do you want to stop the my market sync? Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm just going to pull those back up now, like we had them. And there we go. Let's just run through this. So the 60-minute, didn't we? And we had the 15-minute. I'll just pull this up so that you can see this when I can get to it. Okay, let's pull that in. Okay, now I'm just going to get rid of that thing at the back there. Let's pull that across a little bit. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, the syncing up the cursor. It's much better explained on here. If you click on this box up here, this will sync up the cursor, but you've got to have this one activated as well. And then if you look what happens, when you click, hang on, there's something wrong there. That's because that's the euro and that's the pound. So let's get rid of that. That's not going to sync very well at all, is it? And then we'll pull this one over here. Okay, and then we sync that one up there. And then you can see, okay, now you can see what's happening with both of them. You can see how that syncs up. So if you were running a market sync on this period through here, you could say, okay, well, what exactly happened at this point by going into the 15-minute? And then by looking straight over there, you can see how the market reacted. You see there's our retrace, and that's how you can drill down sort of thing. But it's quite handy to be able to just go and look at how things reacted in a smaller time frame by clicking up and checking through here. Okay, so that's it for the for this. It's gone on a little bit long, a bit longer than I wanted to. But now, of course, this is obviously showing Pat, and you know sometimes I do get a bit of criticism of Pat. Oh, you know, you're just showing Pat and that sort of stuff. But hopefully, you know, if you haven't got Pat, you can take what I'm showing you here, and then somehow you can start to apply it for your own charts. I'm sure that you can do things around and set this up. Of course, you know, like I said before, Pat is a tool. It's a great tool to have. And by the way, welcome again to the new users from last week. I hope you're enjoying our training going forward. I hope to hear from you more. But yes, so this is how we do the Mind Market Sync, and that was what this was all about, was getting that right. So let's get back over now onto the live camera.